U.S. is positioned right now to return to or even exceed the violent crime levels of the 80s and 90s. So what can people like you and I do about it? It's exactly what I'm going to break down for you in this video. And as we all know, the best way to prevent crime is to be educated, trained, and armed. So if you're looking for a brand new gun to carry during these violent times, we have a gun giveaway going on right now. It's absolutely free. Just click the link in the description down below to see which brand new gun you could win. Okay, here's some of the backstory. After crack cocaine was invented somewhere around the early 1980s, it spread like wildfire. This new form of cocaine gave an intense high, and it also inspired some intense crime. Things got so bad that a group of researchers at Harvard University created a crack index measurement to make sure that future studies on crime and society took into account the effects of crack cocaine. Here's some more stats. In 1986, burglary offenses hit 1,349 per 100,000 people. Now that's an insane amount of burglaries. In 1991, per 100,000 people, property crimes peaked at 5,140. There were 272 robbery offenses, and homicides peaked at 9.8 per 100,000 people. Here's the scariest one. All violent crimes totaled 758.2 instances per 100,000 people in 1991. And right now, America is uniquely positioned to return to those crime levels of the 80s and 90s. Unfortunately, I'm seeing something really strange happening. It's a perfect storm that could lead us back to those 1991 levels. If you've been watching the news, you're likely hearing some alarming trends. Now look, I am not a doom and gloom guy, but that doesn't mean I just ignore the patterns I'm seeing emerging in our country. And if I'm right, this problem will come to a head and bubble over unless you and I do something about it. The best way to prepare is to understand the information and act on it. Take a look at this research and judge for yourself. Number one, soft on crime policies are beginning to take root. I'm not talking about laws being changed. I'm talking about district attorneys, judges, and other policymakers not enforcing the laws that are already on the books. In January, our CEO, Tim Schmidt, sent out an email about a New York district attorney that said his office wouldn't pursue felony charges for someone who robbed a store with a weapon and didn't hurt anyone or cause a genuine risk of physical harm. That policy caused so much backlash that he had to backtrack. But it proves one thing. There is a fringe group of politicians out there who want to reduce the consequences that criminals face for their actions. This isn't political, yet it's the same politicians who often do not believe in the inalienable right of self-defense. Gun owners must be concerned about this. It may only be a matter of time before these politicians actually succeed. Now, here's the second thing. In the 1990s, there was crime, sure, but they also had the manpower to deal with it. In fact, the executive director of the Eastern Missouri Police Academy said this: "When I started as a young police officer in 1990, it wasn't uncommon for you to have one vacancy and there would be 100 applicants for police officers for that one position. But today, we're not prepared to face this because," and here's the second research point we found, police departments across the country are putting up "we're hiring" signs almost everywhere. That means we have a shortage of police officers in America's major cities. Now, you may think the shortage is because of recent events, but based on our research, there has been a growing problem for many years, according to the head of a nonpartisan National Police Foundation. Here is just a partial list of the major cities that have mentioned hiring shortages for police in the past year: Atlanta, Las Vegas, Baltimore, Seattle, St. Louis, Memphis, South Bend, Indiana, San Francisco, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Springfield, Missouri. These places can't get enough cops to protect their citizens. And even worse, some of these are on the top 10 most dangerous cities list. The shortages are fueled by a flurry of officers retiring and fewer citizens wanting to enter the profession. Frankly, people are far less interested in becoming police officers today. That is a structural problem in policing that could persist into the foreseeable future. You and I understand that it's our duty to protect ourselves and our loved ones. But it's still true that a strong police force that truly serves and protects deters criminal activity, and that makes us all safer. So now on to the next big finding. Violent crime in 2022 is already showing an alarming trend. I'm sure both you and I are seeing this in the news stories. Just in the month of April, a man took smoke grenades and a firearm onto a New York City subway and began shooting people. Maybe you've seen the crazy spike in smash and grabs in LA or other big cities. This recent story hurts the most. A New York man shoved a woman onto the subway tracks for no apparent reason, causing her brutal death. That's true, real-life evil. And the data backs me up here. Murders have jumped nearly 40% since 2019. Some of that's because of the societal disruption from COVID-19, but the trend is continuing upward. The estimated homicides per 100,000 people in 2021 is nearly 7. Remember, it was 9.8 in 1991. And a data analytics company run by a former CIA analyst and nationally recognized data expert predicts that the number could peak over 7 homicides per 100,000 people in 2022 if things keep going the way they are. That's way closer to the 1991 numbers than I'm comfortable with. And if these 3 factors, soft on crime policies, understaffed police departments, and our current crime statistics continue their upward trend, I'm concerned that we could very well see 1991 crime levels again, or worse. So what does all this mean for you and me, the average American, every day? As I see it, we basically have 2 options. Option 1, stick our heads in the sand. And you could truly stick your head in the sand and not take any of this information seriously. It's a bad option, but it is an option. Depending on how old you are, you won't have to deal with it when things get really bad, but your children and your grandchildren will. You could go around your life hoping that evil doesn't come looking for you, hoping that you'll be prepared to face it, hoping that things will turn around. Hope is a good thing, but it is not a good battle plan. That's why I choose the second option. Option number 2, stand together and be prepared to protect ourselves and our loved one. Imagine if everyone on your street, everyone in your town or city, everyone in your state, or everyone in this country was committed to protecting themselves and their loved ones. How safe would America be? We'd be the safest nation on earth. So if you're a responsibly armed American looking to take your training and education to the next level, and you enjoy content like this, the USCCA might be your one-stop solution to do just that. It's a true story of self-defense. We interviewed an armed Lyft driver who was carjacked to help answer these questions. Should I carry a gun while driving? And what does a carjacking actually look like? Just click the video next to me to watch this must-see interview.